Hey everyone, welcome back. Currently, we're on day 70 of Russia's disastrous invasion of Ukraine, and in this video, I want to talk about the state of cybersecurity in Russia, because it's not looking that good. Let's start by watching a little bit of this clip from NBC News, and it's titled, "Russia Perfected Its Cyber Warfare in Ukraine, America Could Pay the Price." Let's watch the first 50 seconds of this together.
Flashing back to the fall of 2014, a group of American cybersecurity analysts at a company called Eyesight Partners found that this piece of malware called Black Energy was being used for, they thought, spying on targets across NATO, Eastern Europe, and also the United States. But as they and other cybersecurity analysts looked deeper, it seemed to be a kind of reconnaissance for cyberattack, for bridging a digital-physical divide, for starting to mess with the controls of things like water systems, like the electric grid. When that was exposed, this group of hackers, who Eyesight had named Sandworm, essentially went to ground and didn't reappear for another year.
I'll link the clip down below if you want to watch it, but it's a pretty good summary of Russia's development and advancements in cyber attacks the last 13 or 14 years. This article from Wired, the untold story of NotPetya, the most devastating cyber attack in history. It crippled ports, paralyzed corporations, froze government agencies all over the world. How a single piece of code crashed the world, and it did potentially tens of billions of dollars in damage through lost economic activity. And for the last 12, 13 years, hacking Russia was off limits because you didn't want a reprisal. Russia had developed this reputation of invulnerability, that they were the biggest and baddest in the world. However, the Ukraine war has made it a free-for-all as far as cyber attacks in Russia. Experts anticipated a Moscow-led cyber assault maybe on the United States or NATO. Instead, unprecedented attacks by hacktivists and criminals have wreaked havoc in Russia. This is pretty fascinating. For more than a decade, US cybersecurity experts have warned about Russian hacking that increasingly uses labor power of financially motivated criminal gangs. So what Russia was doing was finding people within Russia that had computer skills or hacking skills, and they basically just deputized them and said, you now work for the Russian, secret state police or whatever. You will be carrying out attacks on foreign corporations, foreign governments, for Russia, as long as you play by our rules. Yet the third month of this war finds Russia, not the United States, struggling under an unprecedented hacking wave that entwines government activity, political voluntarism, and criminal action. Digital assailants have plundered the country's personal financial data, defaced websites, and handed decades of government emails to anti-secrecy activists abroad, Russians basically living in exile. One recent survey showed more passwords and other sensitive data from Russia were dumped onto the open web in March than information from any other country. All pretty fascinating. Here's another article from Wired. Russia is being hacked at an unprecedented scale, from IT army DDoS attacks to custom malware. The country has become a target like never before. The orders are issued like clockwork every day, often at around 5 a.m. local time. A Telegram channel housing Ukraine's unprecedented IT army of hackers buzzes with a new list of targets for that day. The volunteer group has been knocking Russian websites offline using wave after wave of distributed denial of service attacks, which floods websites with traffic requests and makes them inaccessible since the war started. And this is something that anyone can do as far as participating in one of these distributed denial of service attacks. You basically just overload the website until it crashes. But there are more sophisticated hackers developing codes to specifically go after Russia's government and Russian corporations, the Russian war machine. This article is from March 16th, titled Anonymous Declared a Cyber War Against Russia. Here are the results. This is almost 2 months old, but apparently Anonymous is still at it. Anonymous vows to continue cyber war against Putin's Russia until aggression in Ukraine stops. I don't know how powerful or effective Anonymous as a hacking group really is, but it's fun to think about what exactly is happening here. And what's happening here is that Russia worked very hard to develop this reputation as being the best cyber attackers in the world. So they used that reputation to keep the rest of the world from messing with Russia. However, Russia invaded Ukraine, and remember, this war was only supposed to last 3 to 7 days. But here we are now on the third month of the conflict, and NATO countries have imposed sanctions on Russia. Russia has likewise imposed their own sanctions on unfriendly countries. So there's not a lot of cooperation between law enforcement between these two countries. And that's really the only way you're going to arrest or punish or stop hackers. So if there are hackers in Romania, Bulgaria, Belgium, Sweden, wherever, if you want to have some fun, make some money, practice your skills, Russia's fair game, because law enforcement in NATO is not going to cooperate with Russian police forces investigating cyber criminal activity. So Russia is in a bit of a jam because it's basically the rest of the world versus Russia at the moment. And yes, these attacks could be coming from government actors, but I don't think the United States government has to. I think people, ordinary citizens, cyber criminals, are doing it on their own. Even if you don't care about, the suffering of the Ukrainian people, if you're a cyber criminal and you want to make money, Russia is basically exposed. It can't defend itself. So if you want to get in there and steal information, blackmail, sensitive information, passwords, whatever you can find, Russia can't get the cooperation from the international community to help stop these attacks. Likewise, I think Russia is also vulnerable to their own adversaries, their geopolitical, even frenemies or allies. So just think about this. If you're either Iran or China or North Korea, are you really going to help Russia and try and hack the West? Or are you going to seize this opportunity to dig deep into Russia's secrets and figure out, what does Russia really think of you? So if you're China, and you're probably number 2 or 3 in the world in cybersecurity and cyber hacking, this is a golden opportunity to figure out, what does the Kremlin really think about China? What does the Kremlin really feel about their geopolitical partnerships and strategic alliance? So potentially, there could be nefarious actors in Asia taking advantage of Russia's vulnerability, Russia's weakness at the moment. But this is definitely something that Russia did not plan for. Once again, this war in Ukraine, 3 to 7 days tops is what they were expecting. So how devastating will this be to Russia as far as their economy, their ability to function, their ability to conduct this war? That is yet to be seen. Russia isn't very sophisticated. That's what we're learning about their military. So we'll see potentially if this does develop any further as far as all of these cyber attacks coming from whoever wants to take out their frustration and aggression on Russia's corporations, government agencies, and websites. Okay, that's all for this update video. If you found it informative, give me a thumbs up to help out with the algorithm. I greatly appreciate it. If you have any comments or questions, or know something I don't, let me know down below. I love hearing from you guys. Till the next video, take care, be safe.